Here we are on our way to Pachena Bay to start the West Coast Trail, August 2nd to the 11th, 2023. We parked at Pachidat Campground and paid to leave our car there. We then took a very noisy and bumpy 3-hour bus ride to Pachena Bay to do an orientation with Parks Canada and purchase our Parks Pass. We stayed at the campground for the first night and set out first thing in the morning to Michigan Creek. Bring your earplugs, guys, because that is one bumpy ride. Pachena Bay, walking out onto here, is so beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous, hot sand and driftwood everywhere. Very beautiful. If tide's allowed, you can start your trip up Pachena Beach for a short distance and then reconnect to the forest trail near Clonard Creek if you don't really want to do the ladders. This forest section is very flat with a few ladders and several little bridges crossing creeks. Soak in the rainforest atmosphere with sounds of the waves and occasional ocean views. At Pachena Point Lighthouse, we decided to have a rest, kick off our boots, have a little snack and refuel, rehydrate, and talk about our trails so far. We saw so many spirit leaves, happy faces, sad faces, surprise faces, and all different sizes of the leaves. The ladders here are really long, steep, slippery, and sometimes missing a few pieces, so you had to be very, very careful when walking on the boardwalks or any of the wood pieces. Mostly trying to stick to the nails, safe for grip. Michigan Creek campsite has a lot of space near the north end of the beach on sloping sand. The high tide line comes up far, so pick a spot close to the forest. There's also a few spots in the trees, and sunsets are spectacular here, and the sunrise was just as beautiful. The next morning, we headed out to a short little trek along the beach to Darling River, where we had a glorious little swim, ate our breakfast before we started up the ladders and heading out to Secaucus Beach for the rest of the day. We were like big kids in a candy store and couldn't stop looking at absolutely everything. We found the red chairs where we sat and we pondered the shipwreck, the Valencia. Finding those treasures along the way, the donkey, the sandstone shelves, and lots of debris along the beach. I know I've said this before, but the West Coast is really very pretty. We stopped at Secaucus, and there was a very beautiful waterfall and a plunge pool at the end of it. We had the best beach camp spot here. We had dinner in one of the caves, and when the tide is out, you can head around the corner
to one of the huge boulders and see inside. It was so wonderful.
One of our favorite things to do was to find some driftwood and help us build little places to sit, little living rooms as we would call it, and some places that we could cook our food. Yay! Made us feel really like we were at home on the beach. It was amazing.
We love to explore, and the caves were fantastic here.
Off and running again, up those ladders, down those ladders, up those ladders. Felt like that's all we did was ladders. It was fun.
Getting to the cable cars was a lot of fun, but now, the hard work. Knowing we were going to have to do the cable cars, we had to take a rest. What beautiful, gorgeous green water Clenata River has. The campsites were right along the water and very, very beautiful. We stopped here for a swim, took off our boots, and had some lunch before we did the cable cars, and we refueled our muscles to get all three of us and our packs across the river. We stopped several times to get fresh water, and these guys pretty much jumped in every puddle along the way. We ended up at Susiat Falls, in between some of the boulders, nestled in there, and you can't see in the mist, but there are some serious crazy ladders there. A nice chilly dip, but super refreshing and beautiful. This guy can never be too far from his spork on a string. Happy birthday! Here we are, headed for some serious deep sand beach trekking all the way to the hole in the wall at Susiat Point. It's a stunning rock formation that resulted from uneven water erosion, cutting a hole through this otherwise rock wall. Walking along the bluff was incredible and breathtaking. And you guessed it, more ladders, but we love them. What I loved most about our time on the West Coast Trail is that we were all so positive and kept a happy, healthy attitude and openly discussed our gratitude to have such an opportunity to hike the rugged West Coast. On our way to Nit Nat, this section stays high on the bluffs and in the trail. The ferry operates between 9:30 and 4:30 p.m. and often goes as required. Coming from the north, give the staff a holler and they will come over and pick you up. The Nit Nat Narrows is homes of the Nit Nat Wilderness Charters, including water taxi services, the Crab Shack, and paid accommodations operated by the Egger family. Carl, his wife Shelley, brother Sam, and wife Hazel are the best hosts and are super friendly. The Crab Shack offers amazing fresh seafood, full breakfast, snacks, and other essentials for your purchase. If you can't make the long run between Cribs and Susiat, an overnight here is a great option. Staying the night also means an option for a delicious fresh dinner and breakfast at the Crab Shack. So make sure you bring lots and lots of cash. I love how Chrissy is not afraid to get her hands dirty here while she prepares some crab for the rest of us And these crazy fish that when she throws the remains of the crab in there, they just go to it and eat it all up. They almost are like piranhas. But believe it or not, they're just regular old fish. Now that's what I call a really fresh dinner. I can't wait. If you need a puppy fix or you just need to rest, then this is the place to get it. They have a common area with a wood stove that can help you dry out your socks and boots or anything else you may need. We stayed overnight here on the tent pad, and it was a nice rest and great for us to refuel our bodies by having delicious halibut, loaded baked potatoes, crab, and a big breakfast on the way out the next morning. Although they are here, they're working on island time and may not be open before you need to head out. Also, important detail is that there are no fresh water at Nit Nat Narrows, and the next 10 kilometers, there may be only one stop in a hole/creek area just before Chihuahua River. So you need to pack in some water from Susiat Falls or purchase some from the Crab Shack in plastic bottles. If you need to spend the night in one of their cabins, water's included, approximately 1 gallon, and if on the tent pad, 1 liter per person. Bring lots of cash for food here as the prices are marked high as they bring in all of their supplies into the secluded area. What a view though. We saw so many jellyfish here and love everything about this spot. There are 4 heated cabins and a covered deck space available for rent. Ideally, you should book ahead, but walk-ins are also welcome as they really completely fill up. You can also weigh your bags on the fish hook here at this point, and even you can join the trail here at the halfway point of Nit Nat Narrows. We had so much fun here.
We headed out first thing in the morning through ancient bogs, along slippery boardwalks, and through the wide, flat inland trail through thin-stemmed trees and mossy ground cover. The trail then hugs the shoreline with some incredible views of the ocean. You have a choice to hike along the beach or on the inland forest trail. We chose the beach today, and as you can see, it's kind of misty out there, lots of driftwood, and it gave us a chance to explore this beautiful rugged section. This next section was so beautiful, and the shelves looked like they were made out of concrete and had been worked away by thousands of waves crashing against them for hundreds of years. You have a choice to hike along the beach or the inland trail, but we loved the beach route as it gave us an opportunity to experience it all. Dare Beach itself is a wild, beautiful section of the coast with some pretty wicked surf. This flat shelf area gives us the chance to explore some amazing tide pools, some absolutely packed with sea urchins. It's amazing how many hikes I've done in the last year trying to train for the West Coast Trail and completely out of my comfort zone. I'm really so happy that I did this, and I can say that it's been one of the most beautiful journeys of my entire life. I'm so truly grateful to be surrounded by very good friends with positivity and such beautiful landscapes. I'm grateful. We had planned on staying at Cribs campsite, but after 10 kilometers and an early arrival at a campsite, we decided to keep pushing on another 4 kilometers to Carmana Beach campsite. Carmana Lighthouse grounds are reached via a well-marked side trail or a series of ladders and stairs from an alternate beach route. The beach sections here are all passable at high tide except for the alternate route. This section was so diverse, and I felt like I was in a movie. I had to keep asking if we were really hiking the West Coast Trail. It felt so surreal. And when walking along the beach to Carmana after the lighthouse going southbound, there was a burger shack, and so we stopped and had the epic burger and a vegan burger for Grace, which, by the way, looked so incredible and it tasted so good. We were overjoyed by the food, and it was a great pick-me-up in morale. Again, bring some cash, as there's no cell service here or tap.
These guys were so amazing at building camp. They had the tarp up just in case it rained, built ourselves a little kitchen. It was pretty amazing. Always felt like home. Exploring Carmana was so incredible. It was unlike anything so far on the trail. The seals were surfing along the waves as they were rolling in, and when the light caught the wave, you could see how much fun they were having. They surfed for hours. Every day so far has been packed with sightings of humpbacks, and even if you could not see them in the mist, you could hear their blowholes. Happy birthday!
Day 6, we headed out from Carmana to Bonilla, a very short hike of 3 kilometers, as it's Ryan's birthday today. Bonilla is a small campsite with fine sand beach, and campsites are north of the creek with a few extra sites found in the cool forest just off the beach. It has an excellent wilderness feel. Views of sea stacks, great sunsets, little waterfall behind the campsite provides a drinking source and definitely a bathing spot. Although you'll have to get wet to fill your water from the running falls.
This stop was so magical. The tide was out when we arrived and the stacks were breathtaking. Everything was so wild in this section, untouched, and it really felt that way. The shipwrecks were not hard to find, and there was so much sea life and West Coast feelings happening here. It was a very special day indeed. From delicious waterfalls to the best campsites on the beach, and the best birthday day ever.
We spent our time at Vanilla just relaxing, chilling, and hanging out with Ryan on his birthday. It rained a little, but that's okay. We weren't made of sugar. And we brought a tarp.
The next day, we headed out, started hiking along the beach on our way to Culite from Vanilla. This next section proved to be challenging for us, but we knew that we were a team and that we could do it together with positive attitudes and helping each other along the way. Forever grateful.
The trail meanders up and down, left and right through dense rainforest, and a new suspension bridge takes you high across Logan Creek. This bridge was spectacular and breathtaking. When arriving at Culite Cove, you'll find a cable car to take you across and climb down to the beach to spend the night. Culite Cove is a very small campsite with only room for a handful of tents. The beach is nestled between the sandstone cliffs and spots fill up fast, although we hunkered down right on the beach, right next to the river. Although you have to be careful because if the tide comes up, it can potentially cut you off from the trail. Now that's what I'm talking about. These guys really knew how to build camp. They would bring in a whole bunch of driftwood, set things up so that we could have our own little kitchen and anything that felt like home. It was incredible. Almost at every single campsite, we could go swimming in the river, cool off after a crazy hiking day. What I loved about this camp spot is just the ravine that we were in was incredible. And again, everything on this journey was breathtaking.
I know I've said that a lot, but actually, it's really true. My breath was taken every moment. Sometimes I can't believe it really happened, and it proved to be very challenging, but every day I'm so happy that I completed it and that I had an opportunity to hike the West Coast Trail. Leaving Culite Cove, we took a long series of ladders up to the trail bluff. The trail continued through the dense rainforest with sections destroyed by giant fallen trees from previous winter storms. Elevated log crossings and boardwalks helped us navigate the mud and finally descended into a series of ladders to Camper Bay.
While taking in the sights, we filled our water bottles here and we continued on the long journey through the inland forest trail. It was a crazy, muddy route, and we had to navigate quite a few obstacles on this last leg of our journey, including the biggest mushroom I had ever seen. And since you are not allowed to pick the mushrooms, it was a joy to see one that large. Leaving Camper Bay, take the cable car across the creek or forge the low river and continue on the muddy trail. And when I mean muddy, I mean muddy. Time to get out those gators. And when you reach beach access A or B, you must decide if the tides allow a safe passage of Owen Point or stick to the inland route. We had to stick to the inland route, and while our app or others have said that this may be the better route, it was the toughest part of the trail, and we clocked in at a whopping 20 kilometers from Thrashers to Culite Cove, or so my phone told me. Hardest day of our journey so far, but I can tell you, these beautiful sights were well worth it. If you've decided to take the beach section between here and Owen Point, it is relatively easy to navigate, although very slippery, with flat sandstone shelves and surge channels. Take extra caution along the surge channels. There are flagged routes to take you up and around the most dangerous spots. The sea caves at Owen Point are carved by centuries of ocean waves and are considered to be one of the highlights of the West Coast Trail. And even though we didn't take it, we had a beautiful journey along the way and ended up at Thrashers Cove. Thrashers is a popular campsite used as a first or last stop by most hikers, but it was packed, and by the time we got there, we had to camp right next to the ocean with a few inches to spare. Needless to say, we had to watch the tide like a hawk until high tide was passed, and then we could sleep. Water access is on the north side at Hobbs Creek, and an alternate source is a large pond in the trees to the east away from the beach. You can see the lights of Port Renfrew here with a lot of boat traffic, and it does not have the backcountry camp feel. It's often crowded
and could end up right on the edge of the ocean, like us. But it's still so very beautiful here, so pretty, and again, I am so happy that I did the trail.
from Thrashers Cove up a series of long ladders until you reach the Forest Trail junction at kilometer 70. We slowly climbed through the old growth forest with mud roots until you reach the highest point of the trail. Past the donkey engine, we rejoiced when we arrived at the final ladder down to the beach at Gordon River Trail, and there were others already waiting for our ferry to cross Gordon River. You can raise the buoy when you descend the ladder to signal the ferry if someone hasn't already beaten you to it. Ferry times are 8:45 a.m. and half past every hour from 10:30 a.m. to the last ferry at 3:30 p.m. And now we can rejoice, eat great food, and be thankful we are alive. I am so proud to say that we worked hard as a team throughout the last several months of training, and I am so happy that we went with Grace and my very best friend Ryan. Without them, I could not have accomplished this journey, and I am grateful to have their positivity in this epic adventure. With Ryan's wolf calls in the forest to only 1 kilometer to go statements, even when they were not true, they spurred us on to keep going until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Next up, Thailand.